Last week, Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced the U.S. had designated China, Iran, and Russia as among the nations considered countries of particular concern under the Religious Freedom Act. Now, the country of particular concern, or CPC designation, is an important instrument in our foreign policy. The designation often brings severe diplomatic and economic consequences. But according to a recent report from the Family Research Council's Center for Religious Liberty, this foreign policy tool is often used ineffectively in the push for religious freedom throughout the world. Joining me now to discuss this is the author of the report, Arielle Del Turco. She's an assistant director of the Center for Religious Liberty at the Family Research Council. Arielle, good to see you today.
Good to be with you, Joseph.
Now, I've got this kind of introductory question here about countries of particular concern, because we talked about the countries on this list, talked about China, Iran, and Russia, and the potential consequences of being listed as a country of particular concern. But China also has a favored nation status designation with respect to our trade relationship with them. How can it be that we have designated them as a favored trade partner, but they're also a country of particular concern when it comes to human rights?
Yeah, so you've hit the nail on the head, Joseph. So this is a designation essentially calling these countries some of the worst in the world on religious freedom. And it's supposed to essentially do two things. Firstly, it's a naming and shaming tool. It's embarrassing to these countries. Why would you want to be called one of the worst in the world? And then secondarily, it's supposed to carry some type of economic consequence. We're certainly not supposed to give them our most favored nation trading status. So you can see already a breakdown in how this tool is being used or misused over the years.
And so tell us, how is this supposed to be used? Have we seen examples of this designation actually helping advance human rights?
Only in a few instances have we seen this be effective. So we've seen it be effective in Vietnam. Several years ago, Vietnam was about to be put on the CPC list, but that was a country that really wanted to avoid that designation. So they actually worked with the United States, and we crafted an agreement where the government actually committed to improve religious freedom conditions in several areas, and we agreed that we would consider removing them from the list. So that it really is up to the people that are using it. So up to the administration officials. It's just a tool, so we need to wield it well.
Now, we've seen in other contexts recently the way in which our foreign policy seems to be inconsistent with our stated values, the way we're dealing with Russia, continuing to basically allow energy to be purchased from them. We've recently expanded our purchase of fuel from Venezuela, despite some egregious problems in that country, essentially because we are unwilling to become energy independent as a nation and produce oil for ourselves. But there's one country here that it seems that we're not dependent upon at all. And you specifically highlight Nigeria in this report and the fact that they were once designated a country of particular concern. They no longer are. What would the reason for that be?
Well, the Biden State Department has given no official reason or explanation for removing Nigeria's CPC designation that was put in at the end of the Trump administration. And that's really to the horror of human rights activists who are watching atrocities unfold in this country, specifically against Christians and Muslims who are just terrorized. And the government has much more of a capacity to step in and prevent that than they have. So a lot of people are asking why.
And be specific, if you can, in our last couple of minutes. What is happening in Nigeria that people should be so concerned about, that the State Department should be so concerned about?
Yeah, well, just a few days ago, Reuters issued a massive report detailing at least 10,000 forced abortions against Nigerian women and girls who were taken captive by Boko Haram. But it wasn't Boko Haram who did the forced abortions. They were supposedly rescued by the Nigerian army. But when they were rescued, they were taken to these mysterious, secretive facilities, sometimes medical facilities, sometimes military bases. abuses, and they were given injections or drugs that they were told were for their benefit, and oh, it will help you with your weakness or exhaustion. And instead, they were actually forced abortions. So the girls were really surprised when this happened. Sometimes it happened in roomfuls of 50 or 60 women and girls who were impregnated by Boko Haram terrorists, but then it was the government that was committing this horrific act against them. So this is just one in a series of human rights abuses that the Nigerian government has been directly tied to. And so when the State Department looks at Nigeria and tiptoes around, oh, well, we don't want to give you a country of particular concern designation because we still want to be on good terms for whatever reason, the rest of the world looks at that and does not take our human rights record seriously.
And Arielle, to that specific example that you just gave of 10,000 forced abortions, which is terrible to think about, am I correct in believing that in Nigeria, abortion is not even legal?
Abortion is not even legal, and it's not culturally embraced at all. Nigeria is mostly Christian or Muslim, so you have these conservative cultures, and I think that makes this story all the more shocking.
Indeed, it does, and it's the level of abuse here, the scale of the abuse is just difficult to think about. But there is certainly an understanding of why this country of particular concern designation is necessary, and we certainly hope that they will get some more teeth. Arielle, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.